Welcome to a new episode of the Film Rescue Show. I am your pitch master, General Seth. I am here joined as always by our co-host Jesse, our professional cynic. Jesse, how you feeling today, buddy?
I'm good, ready to bust some ghosts.
Perfect. And Jesse has brought us a new guest to the show, a big Ghostbusters fan, if you couldn't tell from the title and the images you're looking at. If you're on YouTube, if you're just listening on the podcast, go subscribe to the YouTube. We need your help over there. We are talking about Ghostbusters 2 today, directed by Ivan Reitman. Let's introduce our guest, Harry Carpenter, who you can find writing over at hcarpenterwriter.com, or if reading and book festivals are more your thing, the Fright Reads Book Festival at frightreads.com is also Harry's. Harry, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Boston makes me feel good.
Wow, we're starting off on an R-rated note. I am so happy that this is an adult podcast. Well, tell us
And
what
I don't have to bleep that one for the first 10 minutes.
Right.
That one can slip past.
Harry, tell us a little bit about your festival and then some of your writing as well, because set us up for what we might be in flavor for when we get into the writing portion of this podcast.
Yeah. So I'll flip that around. What was that bad Willy Wonka movie? I'll flip it, reverse it, whatever he said. I don't care. So I've been writing short horror stories, serial killer stuff, and eventually a several book series that should be completed whenever I get around to it. That follows a military group that has monsters invade their base, and they use their pop culture and video game knowledge.
That's
survive.
awesome. Okay, yeah.
Among other things that I have in the shoots, but that's the general thing there. So I ended up trying to shop around my books to different festivals and events. I remember I applied to a festival at one point, and they said, "Oh yeah, this isn't our vibe." 100% went full Bender from Futurama, and I said, "Fine, I'll make my own book festival with hookers and blackjack."
And forget the blackjack.
And here I am, 4 years later. I'm running Fright Reads Book Festival. Fright Reads was by design for authors. Sometimes we're the odd ducks, especially when we have something that's weird and creepy and really not for everyone, if not anyone. This is a good home for those kind of people that are already like, yeah, I want a messed up book. I want something that's murder. I want something mystery. I want a sci-fi thriller. They're already in that mindset. You're not at a craft fair where it's, Aunt Tilly and the grandkids that are coming through trying to just buy, arts and crafts. And they're like, ew, what are your books about? So that was kind of the design. It evolved from that to being almost an arts festival.
That's amazing.
So we have artists, we have movie stuff. I'm trying to figure out, we had a change of venue this year. So my entire life has been derailed and the whole plan is just completely kaput. But we were going to do film screenings for some indie films, some local filmmakers that made some stuff, and have them do a little Q&A either before or after to talk about their movie. So it's gone from a book festival to more of an arts festival, but books are always at its core. So if you're into that kind of stuff, and we have a couple of cool celebrities, we have a couple of New York Times best-selling writer types, we have some Hollywood types, all of that's on frightreads.com for the latest updates.
Fantastic. Well, that's awesome to hear, and everyone can go check that out. We'll have links for that down in the description as well, just to make it easy for everyone. Today, though, we have you here to talk about, what's that in the background of your video there? It's Ghostbusters. So this one's been on our list for a minute. We actually yanked this away from another previous guest just to have you on, because this seems to be within your wheelhouse of interest. Let us know how you got into Ghostbusters. What's that beginning of that journey look like for you?
What is Ghostbusters? I have never heard of this film before. So Ghostbusters was a movie that I even wrote a short story about it, kind of messing me up as a child. My dad let me watch Ghostbusters a million years ago when it came out. Something about it, I don't know what it was, like being that really, really young kid where you can't articulate why you like something. I don't know what it was. Like there were like 5 big properties that you could really latch onto as a kid. You had Terminator, RoboCop, Ghostbusters, Ninja Turtles, or some variation of like maybe Conan the Barbarian or something. Like there was that one thing that you were just like, or Aliens was the other
Sure.
one, I think,
Yeah.
would be the other property to like just grip onto. If it wasn't Star Wars, that gets its own
Yeah,
category.
absolutely.
We don't even.
May the 4th be with you.
But,
We're
like,
recording this on May 4th.
Yes. I was like, it is the 4th, so yeah, I got to include the Star War.
Go see a Star Wars.
So yeah, go see a Star War. They're playing all the one Star War in the movies now. So yeah, so it was just that something I latched onto. I wasn't hard into, like, I have a pulse rifle somewhere around here. So obviously I like Aliens, I like RoboCop, all that other stuff that I mentioned, but only one of them has 3.5 walls of a basement room dedicated to it. I don't know what it was as a kid, and then the cartoon hit. The cartoon was just, I mean, especially like the J. Michael Straczynski writing was just just next level. That dude could write a child's story that was designed for adults. He was doing for the real Ghostbusters what Bluey is doing now.
That's
for
funny.
parents.
What a good comparison.
Let's write for adults. Let's write for adults so you can enjoy this, but also entertain your children. I was entertained as a child, and my parents probably sat there and watched Ghostbuster cartoons with me. Went for the ride along with me. So something about it just kind of resonated. I had the toys, and some of them are behind me. Most of them, if you see behind my shoulder, a lot of this shelf is original Kenner toys from way back in the day. So I was invested in that. I had friends that were Ninja Turtle nuts. And they were always like, "Yeah, what's your favorite Ninja Turtle?" No, you don't like that. You like Ghostbusters. No, bro, Raphael. but continue. And it just grew from that. And then eventually I went to my first Comic-Con back in 2011, and I was stationed down in El Paso, Texas, and I went there, and I've ironically, and Jesse knows that I usually dress as Deadpool for
that's funny.
My first costume was Green Lantern.
So fitting.
An ironic twist.
Cruel twist of irony.
Right. So I went there. I was in this doofy Green Lantern outfit, and I see this proton pack in front of me, and I look at it and I'm like, no, you can make those. Those were a thing. And like this was my eyes being open to the world of prop making, to doing Hollywood recreations of movie stuff, and just cosplay, like that rabbit hole you can go down. And I joined a group down there, half dozen of us that were dressed like Ghostbusters. And then it deepened even further when I moved up to Maryland and hooked up with the Charm City Ghostbusters, which I helped create alongside of Grant, Jesse, Brian, David, and I would say Chris and Ross. I believe we were the original old heads that kind of got the ball rolling. And it's from there. You just got a group of like-minded people. We can speak in one-liners from the first movie. There's a couple of them in the second and other movies that we'll pull out, but the first movies where the zingers are from the one-liners, like my usual go-to is, hey man, how you feeling today? Yes, have some. It's a solid response. It's just I don't know where as a child that it stemmed from, but like something about it, maybe it was the ghosts, maybe it was the horror element with that comedy blend. It's hard to really say, but it's a movie that it in my top 3 movies that I can recite without having to watch them. It's up there with Princess Bride. I got Ghostbusters 1, and the other one that I can do was I can't remember what the other movie was, but as soon as it starts to play, Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Quotable.
Shaun of the Dead.
I was just watching another Edgar Wright movie earlier. I was watching Scott Pilgrim before we jumped on here.
Yes, what a great one. What'd you think about the cartoon alternate history?
Oh, we dug that. Yeah. We actually did an episode on that one.
Once you realize it's different, because when you're blindsided, you're like, whoa, wait, this is not. I thought this is just a cartoon with Michael Cera and the gang.
I was not expecting the sidestep and the what they pulled out of that series. That was so fun.
Yeah, and it's really hard when you try to make something off of something that had such a big burst of following. Like, who didn't like Scott Pilgrim?
I can name one person for sure that hates that movie. One person that it's her absolute most hated movie. I love her, but
what
God
a great
damn it.
soundtrack. But yeah, and that's the thing too. Like, we're discussing Ghostbusters 2. Like, you had that lightning in a bottle, like Scott Pilgrim being adapted from its pen and ink form. Sarah and the gang were like absolute just perfect for it. But something with that translation, sequels always have a struggle anyway.
Yeah.
Sometimes they do, like Star Wars has done a pretty good job of creating a universe, but that's also a universe building type of film.
There's a difference between adding to a universe that is expected to have other films in it and being the immediate next follow-up. That is like everything's on your shoulders is the very, very second ever.
You can compare something like Alien to Aliens. They got very lucky because they just changed the genre. It's not a horror movie anymore now. It's an action film.
That's James Cameron's bag, though. Every time he comes back to a place, he's better at it. Arguably, the new Avatar is better than the first Avatar. I don't really care about either of them, but it's arguably the follow-up's better.
Fair.
Yeah, and it's hard because, like, I know we're going to get into Ghostbusters 2, but, like, that's definitely a film that I think between pop culture pressure and just the desire to one up yourself, it just doesn't, sometimes it just doesn't take. And I'm trying to think of the only movies that I think have ever done that perfect are just, I mean, if you ignore the fact that it's an absurd piece of crap, Fast and the Furious.
Seth is a defender of that series.
Avid defender.
It's terrible, it's stupid, and it's mindless, but it's fun. It's that they're not designed to be, these big, huge things, but there's continuity, and they built this universe now at this point, and it's just silly. And then you got movies like that. You got any Jason Statham movie, whether it's Crank, The Meg, whatever. At this point, it's just being silly. They're not trying to write this next Hollywood blockbuster. We're just going to have fun, and that's fine.
Yeah.
And once you come to that, you're on Crank 18, and you're like, well, how did they stop his heart this time?
Which heart is he on at this point?
They were talking about that third one.
Heart.
They were talking about doing a third one. They never did it. So.
And I'm like, well, where do you go from there? And I think that's, I think they knew where to stop, because if they didn't have a good enough idea, if you can come out of the gate with a good enough idea, the movie can just be stupid and mindless.
Yeah.
And as long as it's entertaining, it'll work. Yeah. But when you try to write something that's more refined, like a whole different franchise, same era as this Ghostbusters film, Ninja Turtles. Turtles 1, fantastic. They came out of the gate with their swords and nunchucks and the whole 9 yards, and they were totally tubular and radical. And then it was actually like a really deep story. This was more leaning more towards the original comics.
It's really accurate as an adaptation. Yeah,
and then the cartoons hit for Saturday morning cartoons, and then you get Ninja Turtles 2.
Where they don't even use their weapons anymore.
The weapons are gone. They're just for show at this point.
Yeah.
And you get made up characters that are trying to sell toys.
It's Super Shredder.
Hey, you leave Kevin Nash alone.
Was that Kevin Nash? Was that Kevin Nash as Super Shredder?
Yeah.
No shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's funny.
He blew a quad just to transform.
Wow. Yeah.
So
he made it a real long way to his one little scene in John Wick.
Right.
But and he fought the Punisher.
Oh yeah, he was the Russian.
He's supposed to be stabbed for real for that one.
Give the man some credit.
He's supposed to be in.
Knife for you.
Isn't he supposed to be in like the new season of Daredevil, or he's supposed to be in the Deadpool 3, something like that?
That'd be cool.
Probably Deadpool.
Probably Deadpool.
Yeah, we were talking.
Brings him back as the Russian.
Yeah, we were talking about that off air. Bringing him back as the Russian sounds like exactly what a Deadpool bit would be. Like, we got to get the big guy.
But he's still got the knife in him.
I'm sure he still has the scar.
But yeah, but then you have the third Turtles movie that nobody talks about.
What third Turtles movie? Man, shame they never made it.
It's been so long since I've watched it. I'm like, was it maybe good? But then it's not, because I'm like, no. I remember they went back in time with the magic handheld lantern lamp thing, and had to save, what was it, feudal Japan? I loosely remember what happened,
Wild.
and I don't remember it being any good.
No.
That's so wild.
But the problem with that is that's like the difference between 1 and 2 were the introduction of the cartoons. And then the difference of 3 was somebody was doing a lot of cocaine.
No, ketamine is what they were doing.
They were just taking horse tranquilizers until they were like, I got
Right.
an idea. What if they went back and saved Japan?
I mean, if you're 3 movies deep, I guess it's worth the reach, but god damn, like you got to have a good story wrapped in there to make it worthwhile. If you're starting from premise, you're not going to land anywhere worthwhile. Like truly, you can't land anywhere. Well, Jesse,
Yeah.
let's laser focus in on Ghostbusters 2. Do you remember the first time you saw this, and did you rewatch for this episode? What's your like?
I did. I rewatched it. God, I can't remember when I actually saw it. It was definitely after the first one.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember when I saw the second one for the first time. All I remember was I used to think the film had some really scary moments. Now I look at them just like, wow, that's not particularly scary.
No,
It's like it just looks more awful than it is scary. Yeah, it's I remember thinking to myself, why is this not making me laugh as much as the first one?
yeah.
Like, why am I not laughing? Like, I couldn't quite put my finger on it. And then as time went on, I just kind of realized, oh, it's because they just weren't enthusiastic about doing a sequel. They clearly, the first film is meant as a one-off.
Mm.
I would argue that if in the universe of Ghostbusters, if they just had that one movie, like, fine. You know, I think that the first film stands on its own. It could function just fine. You could jump from there to Ghostbusters Afterlife, no problem.
Sure.
Like nothing changes.
Well, the problem with 2 is, their hearts weren't into it.
Like Bill Murray is almost never in his Ghostbusters outfit.
Right.
He's almost never. So
Bill Murray has been asking to be killed in the Ghostbuster movie since wrapping the first one.
Yeah,
that's funny.
He wants off this ride, but there's also a really good paycheck. But the second one also fell victim to not only the enthusiasm, but the writing. The writing was toned down because so many kids latched on to Ghostbusters.
Because the cartoon show, they want to make it more like the kids cartoon show.
Yeah.
And they were just like, ooh, that's why poor old Winston Zedmore had to lose his fabulous stash to match the cartoon.
Yeah. Also, they don't smoke anymore. Even though there's a part where Dan Aykroyd has a cigar in his mouth, he's clearly not smoking it. He's just kind of chomping on it.
Yeah.
There's no smoking. There's no drinking. It's as sanitized as you could possibly make it.
Yeah.
There's several things that kind of shot it in the foot.
Yeah.
But I mean, I still like it. It's a fun story. At least it's a contiguous, sensible story.
Yeah.
Vigo's not that flat of a villain.
Yeah, let's
we'll
get into that in a negative.
Let's dive into the positives.
I was just saying, like, there's still elements.
Let's kind of dive through what we want to keep around, because like I think if we're repitching a Ghostbusters 2, we have to go in with the assumption that the conditions here are going to be similar, right? Maybe we have a team that's not as stoked to be here. Our version I would like to avert as much of that as possible without losing the idea of like trying to set up a good sequel. You know, to like our T2 to T. We want to do that kind of same move here. So what's worth keeping? What's the basis? Like I hear you mentioning the villain. I agree. Carpathian could be a really, really good villain to keep around. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you are the buzzing of flies to him.
Right.
Yeah.
Like Vigo is they gave Vigo a decent amount of lore. You get enough of that from their contacts. Like, who is this guy? Well, let me tell you. And you kind of get this like quick too long didn't read about Vigo. And then I think immediately after they do put a joke in. I believe Venkman tries to paint a kitten in the castle. So it keeps your interest. So you get enough of the lore. You get to know what he looks like, where he's from, what are his hobbies, what are his interests. You get all of that through just before even having the painting come to life. you get that like, oh, that's who Vigo is. All right, okay, River of Slime, cool.
Yeah, he feels active within the story. Like every issue the Ghostbusters run into is an issue that he caused. And I do like that aspect. Like there's something in here where you can see they were trying to tease a story out. Jesse, how about you? What really works for you on your recent watch?
I agree that Vigo is an interesting villain. It's different from Gozer from the first.
Yeah, we don't
film.
even get much about Gozer in that first movie till the end. Like that, he's not as involved throughout.
Well, also it's they're called Ghostbusters. They're not fighting ghosts. They're fighting interdimensional monsters. They're not even fighting ghosts. Well, so in this one, they're also not fighting ghosts. It's like a wizard, warlock, wherever the hell he is. I would argue a better villain than Vigo, Rasputin.
Rasputin would be a good villain.
How many times did they have to kill him to finally get him to die?
Yeah.
And what if he actually didn't die? What if he's trapped in that painting? That was his way of escaping death permanently.
I can see that as a swap out.
He's trapped in the song. He's trapped in the song.
Oh, okay.
And everybody has to sing along with him, then he becomes song.
Oh, that makes perfect sense. Yeah.
Get the whole gang to be like, rah, rah, Rasputin,
yeah.
And then he summons.
No, I like that as a villain swap. That could definitely work. I think to argue with you for a second, they do bust two ghosts in this movie in the best scene, in my opinion, the courtroom scene.
Oh yeah.
if anything must stay, it is the entirety of the courtroom scene from from where it starts with Bill Murray leading his lawyer. That bit all the way up through like the end of the Ghostbusters when the Ghostbusters come back. That's the finale. Like that feels more like the finale to a Ghostbusters sequel than I think the finale we get proper. I love the courtroom scene.
It
definitely feels a lot like it's pulled right from the Ghostbusters cartoon because the ghosts and monsters in this one feel more like they're from the cartoon.
Yeah.
They like the design of the Scoleri brothers when they pop out of the slime. They look like puppets.
Yeah, they're Muppets.
The
yeah,
show.
exactly.
Yeah, they're Muppets. They're just Muppets with like big eyes and big mouths. Like they don't look like people. You know, whereas you get the library ghost in the first movie, like looks like a person, then transforms into a monster.
Right.
So
until she isn't.
Yeah, until she isn't. Yeah, that's really the thing is that because it's so influenced by the cartoon show. That's the thing I would absolutely just like rip wholesale out of the film is the kid stuff. Pull it away.
Yeah,
get rid of it. 100%. All
no
gone.
synergy in this meeting.
No. The cartoon show can be its own thing. Do not try to cross them over.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you said the courtroom scene. The courtroom scene probably also has the best dialogue of the entire film.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Like, of all of the things, I mean, it's got one of my favorite quotes where it's like, you know, what did they say? Like, you're going to expose yourselves, and it's like, you don't want my clients to expose themselves. You know, you get that line, and it's just like, you know, and then Venkman comes in, you don't want us exposing ourselves because we will. It's such a great, like, I guarantee you an ad lib because the writing was, again, you know, dumbed down for kids, it feels like. But I feel like that was one that he was like, I'm going to do it. And it's going to be good. And they're going to keep it in.
There's
the exposing ourselves line.
There's
is
a few
solid.
adult jokes sprinkled in here. I didn't realize it until this watch that is it Venkman's Bill Murray, right? I want to make sure I get them all right.
Yeah,
Spangler, Harold Ramis's character, he fucked that slime.
Yeah,
he fucked the slime.
You're not sleeping with it, are you?
Yeah,
smooth slime.
Yeah.
You gotta put it in a good mood.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's the psychic test to see if it reacts to sexuality. I had to pause the movie at that part. I stopped the movie. I was like, Spangler fucked that slime. That's what this is a movie that kids are watching, but now I have to, as an adult, go, he fucked that slime, didn't he?
Oh god damn it. Oh god.
Good for you, Spangler. And that's also coming off of the ghost blowjob joke, right? Like,
from the first movie?
Yeah. It's like we're continuing. Yeah. This is what I want to see out of a Ghostbusters sequel. It's like, don't do the same joke twice. Do a similar joke that can play on its own. And switching it over from Raymond, he's the one getting the blowjob, right? Switching it over to Spangler just makes it even more like, oh, wow, yeah, this was for science. But goddamn, dude, you're a dog. You're an absolute dog.
Always for science. Yeah, I banged the toaster for science.
Oh, by the way, when they put the slime in the toaster and it starts dancing around, why does it pop out toast?
Why not?
All right.
You know what? I mean, you're asking why a dancing.
So is
toaster
it ghost
made
toast now?
Gatoast.
Yeah, so
Ghost.
So that's I think that might be a continuity thing, but it was funny for a sight gag.
Okay.
Because you never see them put toast in.
Yeah.
So there's no toast at the top.
Yeah.
They drizzle in the slime and then they push the toaster down.
Okay.
But there's no toast that goes in there.
Yeah.
So yeah, does the slime turn into it? Like, is it psychokinetic?
Yeah, it's like the toaster remembers toast being in it, so
Yeah.
that's what gets imprinted onto the slime.
It's ghost.
That could be it.
Ghost toast.
Or it could just be really crap continuity and just sounded like a funny gag at the time.
Well, apparently there's a lot of stuff that was cut out of the movie. There was a lot of stuff that was edited. And it's weird that there hasn't been like a special edition released of all this. Like, I mean, I understand it's the inferior sequel, but even like the RoboCop movies, like 2 and 3, they got special edition Blu-rays.
Right.
Why not this one? Like, I'm very confused
why they
didn't.
I have them up there. They do have the special edition.
They do?
With the cut stuff?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Grab my, I got the.
This is why we asked the librarian, right?
Yeah.
Yes, the librarian. Let me take my autographed Ghostbusters 1 VHS and move that out of the way. Let's see. Oh, wouldn't you know it? It's just a doofy packaging. Let's see if it shows what the contents are inside.
Handled with the same care as the film, I see.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah, so I actually have the steelbook that came out.
That's a good looking steelbook. Nice.
Right? That looks beautiful. They did one for 1, 2, and 2016. I do have.
I have a feeling that one didn't sell very well.
You know what though? But it's got the same artwork.
Like it matches.
Nice. Yeah, it's very in line with it with all the 2016 isms. Let's see here. Yeah, so the DVD version that came out was the 2-pack special edition.
I think I have that one. Yeah,
came with a booklet. Yeah, it came with a booklet of stuff. And it's got it's a movie scrapbook. It's got a couple of pieces of art that ultimately made it into a published book that they released several years later. That came out, I don't know, like 3 or 4 years ago. But yeah, this one only says it has 2 animated episodes. That's all it says for GB2.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
1, it shows deleted scenes, commentary, da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah, like there's no commentary track for the second one. There's no interviews. There's like, it's almost like they tried to bury this one.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, but let me see, because I think Ghostbusters 2 Blu-ray. Yeah, there you go. Let's see what the contents are. Boop.
I mean, having like 2 episodes of the cartoon show on your Blu-ray for your second film, pretty clear example that this is inspired more from the cartoon than it is from the first movie.
Oh wow, we have a lot of space on this DVD. Let's put a couple episodes of the TV show here.
Yeah.
What, sir? We have a bunch of deleted scenes. Fuck them.
Would you like content from the movie? No.
Well, I could watch 10 minutes for free according to Amazon. Yeah, I was looking to see if it would actually list what all was included on it. But no, unfortunately not.
Yeah.
But I feel like there were some, like one of the newer iterations came out with some behind the scenes features. I think that the Blu-ray does have some stuff, but it's not nowhere near what you have for Ghostbusters 1, 2016, Afterlife.
Yeah.
Whatever, whatever comes out on the next movie's media release.
Yeah. Which is weird because I would absolutely watch Ghostbusters 2 over 2016 any day.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, I remember when that movie was coming out and there was that push that like, if you don't like this movie, you hate women. All of that kind of dissipated once everybody saw the movie, and it was like, no, it's just not a good movie. It's just not.
Yeah.
I'm very glad that discourse finally just receded into the background. If you enjoy it, great. But why would you lean on that? Leaning on that is
that movie had to tank.
Yeah.
That movie had to tank for us to get Afterlife.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because it did show Sony that there is still a lot of interest for the Ghostbusters franchise.
Yeah.
well after Ghostbusters 2 30 some odd years ago. There's still this like heavy vested interest in the franchise, but because we all like bought into the hype, we got got on the merch train, got on the hype train for it, and then saw the movie, and they were like, ooh, but what if we did different? What if we did something else that wasn't that? And what was it, like 2 years later?
Yeah.
That
Jason Reitman got a trailer out
the
real
new one
quick.
crank out.
Yeah.
He was like, just kidding, just kidding.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's amazing that even Ghostbusters 2 didn't warrant that kind of reaction.
Yeah.
It was still good enough that nobody cared.
Yeah. I remember
They're like, yeah, that was a movie.
Wasn't it like, did Gene Siskel put this on like his worst of like the 1989? And I'm like, seriously? Like, why? It's not a bad movie. It's
worse.
fine. It's like fine.
Yeah.
It's not a terrible film.
Right.
I would, like I said, I'd gladly watch this over 2016, which I find incredibly unfunny. And it's just ugly as sin.
Yeah. So 2016 has its moments, but it's one of those things where I don't have to feel like I have to like come out with like my opening statements to defend Ghostbusters 2 like I have to for 2016. Like, Your Honor, if we just look at the facts, the script would at least made sense.
Yeah.
The special effects looked okay except for the ghosts, and you don't have to lead with anything. It's just like you could just say it's a Ghostbusters movie for 2 and leave it at that. But you were saying like a good scene that you liked is the courtroom scene. I like the subway scene.
Yeah, the subway
scene.
Oh yeah,
with the train. Oh yeah, I love the train. I love that whole thing with the train. Yeah.
That all the way up to barging in on Venkman's lovely dinner date.
Oh yeah.
In their underwear, covered in slime.
Yeah.
like that whole bit right there is just solid.
Yeah.
I mean, you got the train running over Zedmore. Poor Winston didn't stand a chance.
Yeah.
They're like, did you see the number of that train?
Sorry.
I missed it. He's like, not here for that. I'm just here to I'm surprised
somehow
I'm alive.
I missed that
Thanks,
information.
guys.
I will say they do give Winston a bit more to do in this one as opposed to the first one.
Yeah.
So that's nice.
But it's
still minimal.
It's still very minimal. He had a pretty profound part in 1 as well. Like, for what he was in there for.
Yeah, their new hire.
He wasn't unused. He wasn't underutilized or unused in just a background piece. And then knowing all the behind the scenes of how everybody did Ernie Hudson dirty.
Yeah.
It's amazing to watch Afterlife and Frozen Empire and see that Winston is now the sole backer and funder of the Ghostbusters. Yep. He's carrying the team because in real life, that dude is the champion of Ghostbusters.
Bro, he's jacked in his 80s.
You're not going to get Bill
love
Murray.
it.
Oh, yeah. Did you see his men's health video that came out? Dude, the guy is like in his 80s and he's got muscles everywhere. Like, god damn, dude. Jesus.
Well, he has to wear that pack.
Yeah. Just
I mean, I got one right here. Yeah. It's not light.
Yeah.
They're at least 30 pounds for a really light one.
The core 4, I really don't have too many issues with except for Bill Murray, and I don't know if it's the direction or the writing. Like
no cocaine. Yeah, there's a lot of reports that there was a lot of cocaine on the first one.
Wow.
There's a lot.
Well, it's that and the reining in of what I think made 1 golden. I don't think there was as much improv.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like there was a lot of that because like
a lot of studio oversight on this one.
Yeah, like 1, you have zingers out the wazoo that are improv. Listen, you smell something? That's 100% improv. That wasn't written in the script that they should say that. There's that my other great one towards the end. Where do those stairs go? They go up.
And then Bill Murray's like, "No, you go first. You go first."
Yeah, that's all made up. Like Johnny on the spot. That's a testament to cocaine filled Murray.
Was this around the time the Blues Brothers came out?
I want to say they came out around the same time. Yeah, like 80.
No, it's
83 to 85. Yeah.
Early 80s was the age of cocaine.
Oh, 2000 was 98. That's right. Yeah, 1980 on the dot was the first one.
Yeah. So the cocaine was still kicking in pretty well at that time.
Yeah. So like, you don't get that in 2. Like, it just doesn't feel like. It was probably a combination of things, a lack of drugs,
Yeah.
obviously.
It feels like the tame sophomore slump.
Yeah, they definitely look like they got chastised and were not allowed to be as creatively free as they were in the first one.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like to me. But it still doesn't. They worked with what they were allowed to, and they still churned out a watchable product.
Yeah.
The last note that I had was Sigourney Weaver's here so thanklessly. She's basically babysitting Bill Murray in every single scene that she's in. Like, she's given a baby and she babysits Bill Murray for the whole movie. And like, it's shocking to me because she's got 2 Alien movies under her belt at this point, right? Like,
this was after she'd been nominated for Best Actress.
She's a big fucking deal, right?
This is what they relegate her to, like the disposable girlfriend. It's like, seriously, like, come on.
She's in the plot because she works at the art museum and is also a cellist. Like they're doing a lot to make her like
that's a wild coincidence.
Well, they're doing a lot to make her a well-rounded character, and then just not having anything for her to do, for her being the whole reason the plots link together. Like, she's the reason they link together, and then she just kind of babysits Bill Murray for the rest of the movie.
She babysits Bill Murray more than she actually babysits her own fucking kid.
Right.
Like, is it seriously a good idea to go on a date with Bill Murray after the bathtub tried to fucking eat you? Like, come on.
Yes. The answer is yes. The baby's in good hands. The secretary who curses people out on the phone all the time.
Oh, yeah.
This will be fine. She's an expert.
Listen, Rick Moranis is going to get some, and I'm going to cheer the whole time. That is exactly what's going to happen. I was watching this with Lexi and Jesse, and all 3 of us were like, yeah!
Good for him.
He already got some.
Good for him.
He got some on the rooftop.
That's true.
Yeah, it's true.
His first rodeo. It's at least his second. I don't know any more beyond that.
He's a high-powered New York lawyer. You know what I mean? Like,
he's an accountant.
Yeah.
Yeah. He does your taxes. So
because I turned into a dog once and they helped me. Thank you. Just the judge's blank fucking face. That's my best. That's the best. That's my favorite joke. Just the judge's blank face when he just sees Tully trying to explain what the hell's happened. It's just so...
Your Honor, these guys were very nice to me, and they saved the city. Also, I turned into a dog once and they helped me. Like, it's just like he's the worst lawyer because he's not a lawyer.
He's not a lawyer.
But he's the closest thing that they have, and just I love his. I love his closing arguments. Everything that he does is just terrible, and it's just the best. Yeah.
Well, let's get into
that's the comedy of
let's get into the terrible of the movie. What do we need to strip out here to get this engine running nice and smooth on the track again? I see Jesse's looking at some notes. Give it to us, Slugger.
Why is it 5 years later everyone's just like, yeah, the Ghostbusters are fakes? Didn't you not see the giant marshmallow man that pounded down Broadway?
Okay, but
how did you forget that?
Fake news, Jesse.
That's what
fake
I'm saying.
news.
In their New York City, half of them would just not believe it, even if they watch it happen. They'd be like, it was a hologram. Nah, I don't believe it.
It's a hoax. Right. It's a hoax. That was just a
it was
weather
a cool
balloon.
Parade, Jesse. That's all they saw.
That was just some swamp gas and a weather balloon.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, that's the big thing that kills it for me is like everyone's just like, yeah, we got sued by everybody in the city. Why? They didn't do any, like, you literally saw like monsters everywhere. It just that really just kind of it's the dumbest excuse they can get to reset back to 1.
Yeah.
Basically, if you jumped in here and pretended that the first film never happened, it functions better, honestly.
Sure.
But you've already got the first one, so you're stuck.
Well, and it does tie into the plot later when it's like the attitude of New York City is the reason the ooze is turning bad.
Yeah.
Like that it does become a part of the movie. And I hope we can keep that aspect. Like if we keep the reactive like psychic goo, I like the idea that because it's in New York City, it's not going well. Like if this was happening in Wisconsin, like in the Blob, it would be benign. It would be like, oh no, yeah, all these people are really nice and friendly, so the goo's helpful, you know.
The slime is just running rampant in Canada.
It's very apologetic slime.
It's like maple syrup. Sorry.
Sorry, buddy.
What?
But yeah, like, so that transition from we just saved the day and blew up a 50 some odd story Marshmallow Man or whatever, however they always give, like, they gave like 5 different measurements of
Right.
this thing. They're like, he's so many feet tall, he's 40 stories. I'm like, are the people that are describing Stay Puffed the parents from South Park describing the Loch Ness Monster?
Yeah.
Because it changes every single time. Like, it was about that time I realized it was a Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. He was 47 stories tall. 47 stories. Like, it just changes drastically. But like you said, like, that should be something. But okay, so you have a fictional natural disaster, not to pull the mood down,
Sure.
but you have fictional natural disaster. Stay Puft Marshmallow Man comes in, stomps on a bunch of buildings, does his thing, coats half of Central Park in marshmallow. 20 some odd years ago, we had a disaster in New York.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to kids today. Like, granted, it's like 20 years later, but look at how that, like, isn't as intense.
Yeah.
The intensity just isn't there. They're like, yeah, that sounds like a sad thing, but it's the same way we look back at like World War II or something. We're like, that sucked.
Yeah.
But you're past it. But that's where that suspension of disbelief does come in, because it's only been just a handful of years. Like, okay, even more recent, the pandemic.
Yeah.
That was about the same distance as Stay Puft squashing everybody to throwing a party for a bunch of children while all the wild slime was under the building.
Unfortunately,
it's about the same.
Unfortunately, the political climate today is that there's still people that believe that COVID never happened. It's like, that's the thing that sucks. It's like, if you were to release the original Ghostbusters today, there'd be people actively saying, "Oh no, that's not real." Like, then you could get away with it. But this is the 80s we're talking about.
Yeah, it would have been something that would have been. I mean, obviously they showed in the first movie. They were in the New York Times and USA Today's, and like, this is a big, like, documented thing. This isn't like it happened like for 5 seconds and then everybody forgot. This is something that was prevalent and impactful. So probably, I would say, with it was the impact of a 9/11 level with the longevity of everybody's give a shit about COVID.
Right?
Yeah. Okay.
It's a big deal, but everybody was like, anyway, and back to normal. And like, they're just flipping the bird to the firefighters that put out all the fires, basically.
Yeah.
Is how they treat the Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
It's a weird transition.
I noticed in watching the second one that the setup of these two movies is almost like sports movies, where like you find out there's a real talent somewhere, right? And then you got to build a team around that, and then the team's dysfunctional until you pull the team together at the end, and that's the setup. If you do a sequel to a sports movie, you got to it's like, can they?
You got to fracture the team so they can come back together again.
Well, and not even just that. Even if you've kept the team together, the question is no longer can they do it. We know they can. We watched the whole movie proving that they can do it, right? The question is, can they come back? It's a sports movie again, but it's about people that were on top having bottomed out and have to prove. This is Thor in Infinity Gauntlet, right? Like, where he's got to prove that he was always worthy, and the comeback is like a journey that we know will cap out that way. But it's about watching the team like re-evolve, and that's the thing we're missing. None of these characters change, right? It's just they instead go, well, let's just fall back and just repeat all the bits, and we won't bring any change about to any of these characters. Like, Bill Murray's entire character is screaming, begging to evolve, right? He's like, oh, look at me, I'm in Arrested Development and I can't do anything about it. And it's like, these characters are like screaming out to evolve, and the movie's like, no, we need you guys to just stay immature, because that's what Ghostbusters are to people.
Even plot-wise, the film,
that's what the people want.
Yeah, even plot-wise, the second one is almost beat for beat the same movie.
Yeah.
Almost exactly 1-to-1 beat to beat the same movie. And it's like, what if you're just going to do the exact same thing, why even bring back the original cast? I could at least accept a second one if you just said, okay, we've expanded out the Ghostbusters brand and now we're like in another city with another group of people, have like Ray show up and be like, okay, here are the new guys. Here's your keys for like the Miami division. Good luck.
Yeah.
That I could at least accept. Like you get a new team to come together. That way you get new characters. Then I could accept the same plot.
If you send Venkman to be the new captain of the next team and do a Bad News Bears where it's like, oh no, he's just really over his head. That's the whole movie to me. I would watch the fuck out of that. You need one guy, and honestly, you could pick any of them. I think any of the four could run that kind of Bad News Bears setup. But yeah, I agree. Bringing in a new team and a new location that is allows for a restart that is much less of a reach. And if you think about it in business terms, if the first movie's a movie about a successful blue collar business coming up, then this is about the like new arm branch of that business also growing and doing well. Like, can we franchise is a good question for the Ghostbusters.
Yeah. As you get older, you start to look.
You mentioned.
Oh, sorry. As you get older, that first Ghostbusters, you start to look back on it. It's like, it's not just a great comedy. This is a really good movie about making a business. Lots of lines of dialogue I relate to. This is the last of the petty cash. Like, yes, I'm very well aware.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned it was the underdog sports story. It's the Rocky or the Mighty Ducks of science fiction comedy horror. It fits in a weird genre, but either way, you even have a montage.
Yeah,
you have the Rocky montage as they're running through New York with their backs on for the first one, and then the second one, that's how they explain like how the slime just went bananas and just went everywhere to every far reach of the island, basically. They do it as a montage to God, who did they play? I think it's is it Flesh and Blood or the Bungo
something like that
in the background.
Oh, that's another negative I have about the movie is that the score isn't as prevalent. It's a lot of like licensed like hip hop music. But there's not a lot of
hip hop heavy.
Yeah, not a lot of Elmer Bernstein music. Elmer Bernstein's score, you can just immediately hear it like that, and you know, like, oh yeah, that's from Ghostbusters. You know exactly what scene that's in. But then you look at this one, it's like, if you pointed out what scene you want to talk about, and you tried to ask what music was playing in that scene, I'd be like, I don't know.
Yeah,
it's just it all kind of blends together. It doesn't stand out. It's not as creatively satisfying, I guess you could say. Like even the montage sequence that's in this film, the original movie's montage, they shot that without permits.
Yeah,
they went out there without permits, and they just did it.
And people were looking at them like they were crazy.
You'll see people like turn towards the camera and just be like, "What are they doing?"
Normal day.
It's very, very on the spot, on the street. You know, get it quick, dirty, and get out of there before the cops show up. Which, by the way, I did find out something while I was living in New York. You can actually film anywhere you want to, as long as you don't put down a tripod.
Really?
Yep. As long as you don't put down a tripod, you are absolutely allowed to shoot anything. Just handheld anywhere in the city.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Fun fact.
Yeah.
So everybody can go make a
Harry,
movie.
how about you? What's it when you rewatch this movie? What is it such a major pain point for you that you think it's worth? Like if we fix one thing, this is really going to help it for you. What do you think you identify within that?
So you already touched on the score soundtrack situation.
Yeah.
I mean, while I enjoy the fact that Bobby Brown gave me the entire plot of the story in the middle of the song.
Oh yeah. Yes, that's right. He does. I
mean,
it's the whole plot.
He's just like, they're throwing a party for a bunch of children. All the while, the slime is under the building.
Mm-hmm.
All of that. It's the plot, that they have to go and, fight Vigo, the master of evil. Like, this is all just documented.
I thought Bobby Brown was the master of evil.
No, he's the master of getting people hooked on cocaine. Oh, sorry, that was a backhanded comment. Oh no, another joke.
Oh no.
Oh no. So, I want to say I feel like where the first one gave us, they kind of show up and they're documenting the ghost, and then out of nowhere they have proton packs. The biggest fallacy for that one for me was we didn't get to see Egon building this.
Yeah.
When we get to number 2, you still don't see any of this stuff, but they they do show all this wild new technology. The jewelry shop
Oh yeah.
ghosts, where they have like all the prism, like they have that triangulated trap
Right.
system.
Yeah.
I wanted more of that kind of stuff, but not in a montage. That stuff was just so just done a disservice.
Because that's where you get opportunities for that, like that interplay, that improving and ad libbing, and like seeing Jesse and I talk about this all the time. Movies that take a moment to let you just see the characters hanging out will always like ring more true, because now we get a better feeling of what these people are like when they're not in these
and
like
you don't get that
exactly.
with two.
We just don't get it.
Yeah, like the first movie.
The closest you get.
First movie,
the closest
petty
you get
cash
to like
scene.
a bro out movie.
Yeah.
The petty cash, or any of the times that they're they're just tossing back a whiskey outside, that kind of thing, where they're just able to actually just have a conversation. You have a lot of those opportunities. The prison scene, they're able to actually move the plot while also developing who they are as characters.
Yeah.
In 2, the only real scenes you get where they're all kind of in the same room, because there's a lot of nobody's in the same place at the same time.
Bill Murray didn't want to be in the movie.
Yeah, Venkman's off doing his little date with Dana. The other 3 get to have a really good moment, but the only time that you get to hear about anything is after, anything that they get that's realistic is that slime scene.
Yeah.
They, when they're covered in the slime, fighting each other in their underwear on the street. That's the only time that you actually get any kind of, I don't even want to use the word camaraderie, because it's not that, but you don't get that with 2.
Yeah.
It isn't developed. You get a lot of stuff that's forcibly passed over via montage. I think showing some of the newer tech, you do get to kind of see them putting screws to the slime blower, but you don't actually get to see. You get to see like, what if we could weaponize this slime? And then all of a sudden, there they are holding it up with the screwdriver and screwing a bracket on or whatever.
Yeah,
that's the jump. It's like, that'd have been so cool to like really get into the sciencey side of it. Even Back to the Future gives you a little insight with the DeLorean.
Yeah, like speaking of the Ecto-1, the car, like all that
in it.
Yeah. The slop that's on the top of it, like, Jesus Christ, what is all that junk? Like, explain what that is.
You had to put the Jimmy John's ad on the top. How else are you going to advertise?
I will say, like, not only is the Ecto-1 not in the movie very much, but also when it's in there, it's just got all that just
because they couldn't drive it.
Yeah, it's that gack that's on top. It's like, ugh, God.
As a person who has driven an Ecto-1, the more stuff on the top of it, the more afraid you become.
It's going to just topple over.
You could just be turning at 3 miles an hour into a Walmart parking lot, and you could just completely just turtle over and roll like 87 times.
Jesus Christ!
It just you'll just feel it lurch, and you're just doing a 4 or 5 mile an hour turn. Feels like you hit the turn doing like 90.
Yeah.
And that you just feel the car pulling because all of that stuff is up on the top.
That's why the first movie, when you have that scene where the Ecto-1 first comes out of the firehouse, they speed up the footage because it moves so slowly.
What do you mean it sped up?
It moves so slow that they had to speed up the footage. It looks like crap.
Well, and also that is a reference to like old timey comedies, and like think back to Buster Keaton era where like they would speed up all that because those cars were also rolling equally as slow. You know what I mean?
They were doing 15, 20.
Yeah.
They got to make it look like it's doing 90.
Yeah.
But yeah, like so the car itself, like speaking from a realistic sense, that car is so top heavy because I think it was just whoever was in charge of props was like, hey, I found all of this cool crap in the trash. What if I stuck all of this on? And then we put a bunch of I want to say like the marquee signs may have just become a thing in the early 90s, late 80s. And I bet they got their hands on like 2 that were like kind of dirt cheap or, were given as a gift for Christmas.
Right.
I don't know. But they slapped those on there and it just made the car. I mean, it's iconic. That version is, it's that's the Ghostbusters 2 version, but it's just so stupid looking.
Yeah.
And then if you look at the very very self-aware, nonsensical, I actually have it on No, jumpsuit's not here. I have a Ghostbusters jumpsuit with the
two. Yeah.
So they knew they were a sequel. What a self-aware thing.
Yeah.
Like, while I love the fact that they have a new logo, it also, from a logistical sense, like, why would you change your branding to a 2?
Yeah.
Like, what is the
why would you change the brand? Why would you do that?
like,
Yeah.
get it from the movie side. Like, if you had like a poster behind me, like if it was this one, which is for Ghostbusters 1, and then for Ghostbusters 2, you have the ghost doing that. I get that. Why are there patches and the car and everything completely rebranded to have the 2? That would probably, I'd like to recant my former statement and say that's the thing I have an issue with.
Yeah, so I'd like to talk about marketing for a moment.
Since we walked down that rabbit hole, I've now figured out what I really am mad at. It is actually on the back of this movie cover.
There it is.
That would make sense. That's Ghostbusters 1. That's number 2. Why is this on your arm patches? Why is this on your car? On your marketing? On all your everything?
That's just so expensive.
They changed the sign outside.
Yeah.
Oh my god! To get a new neon sign or whatever that was made out of. I don't know what we paid for the Buffalo Ghostbusters to get the actual sign that's in front of the firehouse. Mm-hmm. We were one of the contributing franchises to get the real firehouse, a Ghostbuster sign to hang outside.
Oh, nice.
So they actually have a legit sign outside. I don't know what it's made of. I didn't ask. I didn't care. We were just like, here's like $50, $100. I don't even know what it was, but yeah. But to do all of that and get brand new. Dude, I'm rebranding my book festival with new marketing and new everything. You have to just look at the old signs and go, well, we had a good run, didn't we? And you're throwing away $100, $200. You know, God forbid I had a giant neon sign of Fright Reads, because that would be something that, several $100 investment that I'm just going to toss in the garbage and make a new one. It just seems unrealistic and unbelievable.
Yeah. Seth, you're muted.
Sorry. If I'm a producer,
hey, welcome back.
If I'm a producer and I'm coming back to you with this problem of like, hey, we're doing a rebrand, a huge marketing run for Ghostbusters 2. I need you to make it make sense why they have the Ghostbusters 2 version in the movie. How would you solve that problem? If we couldn't excise it, how would you solve the problem?
Which one of us?
More towards you, Harry. I mean, for a pitch, I love to add a little challenge, of like, what if we had to do this and we had to make it make sense? Like, what if the Ghostbusters had a sit down meeting about their marketing and give this an opportunity for interchange between the different Ghostbusters of like, why are we switching it again? Well, it'll actually make the old ones more valuable and something along those lines.
Maybe it's like the peace logo.
Yeah.
Like the whole end of the film is about positivity is what stops the main villain. I guess
that'd be funny.
It's a reach, but it's something you can.
That's a hell of a reach, but I like
you can grab it at least.
You can have them fighting over that too. Have like Raymond be like, "Oh, it's a peace sign," and then Spengler's like, "Oh, I thought it was a 2 because this is our second time doing the Ghostbusters."
There you go. That works.
Then have Venkman be like, "Boys,
he looks at the
you're
camera.
both right."
He gives it the old Jim Halpert.
Oh, there's a way you do it. When the Statue of Liberty comes alive at the very end, instead of just like smashing the rooftop, it also does this.
That'd be funny.
When it looks in.
Right.
Yeah.
When it looks in.
That reminds me of another positive I have. Cheech Marin cameo.
Oh, yes. Funny. Double cameo. Yeah. They bring him back.
Better late than never.
Yeah. It says the Titanic just arrived. How does the Titanic show up? Do inanimate objects have ghosts now?
It's a ghost, man. The Titanic obviously died.
I guess it's like mass event stuff. Like a mass event of death could like animate the location.
It manifested the ship.
Okay, you know what? I'll let that one slide. I don't even give it. It's just a funny moment. I don't even care.
No, it's so funny.
Well, that's another one where you're just like, I love the moment so much that I don't want to really nitpick it because it's just a good one-off.
Yeah,
bit.
It's like I'm willing to let it slide. Yeah. Like the Statue of Liberty coming alive. Like it literally makes no sense why a copper statue would move.
Yeah,
like it's made of because
flesh and cloth. Coated in positively charged slime.
Oh, of course.
Have you ever coated the inside of a statue with positively charged mood slime?
I've never jerked off in the Statue of Liberty, so I can't say something.
Well, then you're not living your best
for legal
life.
reasons. None of us have done that.
I will say the one thing that always annoys me about movies that have like the Statue of Liberty in it. For anybody that's ever been up in the Statue of Liberty, it's not that big.
No,
it's really tiny up there. They did the same thing in that first X-Men movie where they're fighting in the head of the Statue of Liberty in the crown. It is so tiny up there. It is literally maybe like not even the size of a prison cell. It is so small, and it's a winding staircase to get up. The stairs go up, have a little platform. You look out over outside the crown, and then you go back down.
Yeah,
it is immobile up there.
I don't believe you. I think it's like the TARDIS.
Oh, it's bigger on the inside.
That's what the movies have taught me. So are you telling me movies are wrong?
Movies have lied to you your whole life. You just didn't know it.
I've never been lied to so much.
My whole life is a lie.
But yeah, like, so like, I don't know. I like the soundtrack for 1 versus 2.
1 is influential. That's like,
oh yeah,
that's a hard bar to top.
So 1 has arguably, and mini plug for Ghostbusters Day coming up next month, which we'll be at. The Alessi brothers has the biggest banger of all, "Saving the Day."
Oh yeah,
that's the song when like the grounds, for anybody that's like saving the day, I don't know where to reference that. When the ground starts to open up and they're about to get ate, and it plays that song that just sounds like, you know, something's about to go down. They're getting their police escort, all that stuff. They're going to have the Alessi brothers actually play at the firehouse.
Oh, nice.
So, like, you have songs like that. You have, obviously, the Bernstein, you know, without even talking about the contributions of the score.
Yeah.
Just the, you know, the pop song, you know, influences of it. You had some really good stuff. Like, the song is terrible up until it has the breakdown, but Magic, it's just this really long-winded new wave song, and all of a sudden it's just like bum ba bum ba bum, I believe there's magic, and you're like, oh, there it is, there's the banger, there it is. So good on them for cutting it to just that point. But you have stuff like that. But 2 was, and it was very diverse. You had what was it, the Bus Boys, you had Cleaning Up the Town, which was another one that referenced Ghostbusters without directly feeling like, you know, they're like, the Ghostbusters are cleaning up the town, and you're like, oh, okay, cool. But it's not in your face. Like, you could just jam out to this at any time. You get into movie 2, not saying it's bad, but it's a whole different vibe. You're hitting, I see your poster back there. Run DMC has a song.
Yeah.
You know, so like I said, it's not bad. It's stuff that you'll be like, okay. You have like Dougie Fresh has a song, and you know, they're good, but it's just a whole different vibe. You're like, all right, well, 1 was kind of all over the place in a good way, and this one's just like, what's cool right now? What are the kids?
It's needle droppers the whole way.
Yeah. Also, the music is written specifically for the film itself.
Yeah.
Every song, at least, like I said, the one 100% gives you the plot.
Yeah.
On our own, literally gives you the very plot of Ghostbusters 2. Yeah. You have the Run DMC where they're doing all the, you know, I'm going to call it the audio of, you know, all the different earworms of Ghostbusters itself. When they, you know, the opening lyrics, there's something strange going on, and it's like, there's something strange in your neighborhood. Obviously, they're playing off of that. And then they do the call Ghostbusters, and they have all the callbacks to the original theme song, that it just feels like it's just an additional theme song.
It kind of sounds a little bit like the theme to the cartoon show. A little bit.
It does. It's a little bit peppier.
Yeah.
But there's a huge difference, you know, jumping ahead 30 whatever years. You look at the soundtrack to Afterlife. I didn't really, I mean, Frozen Empire had a pretty solid soundtrack, but without even getting into that. But Afterlife felt like it had a very diverse soundtrack of, you had like Ellie King, you had the Ghostbusters, original like Ray Parker Jr. Then you had this atrocity from Fall Out Boy, that exists. Like that was that was from the 2016. Never mind.
Right.
That was
what 2016 movie?
Have,
what are you talking about?
Yeah, but like even that movie had a diverse soundtrack.
Yeah,
like they had stuff from different genres, different eras, and it felt like a soundtrack that you could go, okay, it's not terrible. They had a metal song in there for 2016. Then you get into the Afterlife movie, and they have stuff that is that's from like the 60s.
Yeah.
60s and 70s, stuff that's from the 90s. It's all over the place, and that kind of takes you more or less to the vibe of where the first one's soundtrack kind of hit, even though most of it was like centered around late 70s, 80s music.
Yeah.
It was diverse enough, and 2 doesn't quite feel that way. Even throwing in Oingo Boingo doesn't really spread it out enough.
Yeah.
I'm actually pulling up the Ghostbusters 2 soundtrack in particular, and it has let's see, you have track listing. You have old Bobby Brown, On Our Own. You have New Edition. You have James Taylor, The Promised Land. That's a song that doesn't even come up because it's such a bummer of a song. It doesn't, like, we want our Ghostbuster playlist when we go to events. That's not on the playlist. We're Back is literally the motto that they used for the second movie, where they were like their commercials and all their marketing and branding was We're Back. Dougie Fresh, Spirit, then Run DMC, Ghostbusters. Elton John had a song on this playlist, and it's not a good. Love is a Cannibal is fine enough, but not in this context. It was so, the only song, like, you had Flip City by Glenn Frey, but let's be honest, the only MVP from the Ghostbusters 2 soundtrack is Higher and Higher.
Yeah. Because
that's
of
the only one that
the plot.
You hear that, and it's part of the plot. It's played in the movie. It's a very core thing at the end. But that's the song that even if you hear it in the wild, they're like, hey, that's a song from Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Yep.
No other song. It feels like all these songs are very, very, very movie specific, except for like 2.
Yeah.
And Love is a Cannibal is just, it's Elton John. It's a great song, but
yeah, this is why music supervisors are very critical roles in films.
Unless your name's James Gunn, and then every playlist you put together is perfect.
Yeah,
just a banger.
Yeah.
Same goes for Edgar Wright. Every playlist is just like, oh, how can you make every song a banger? That's so wild.
Don't they have to coordinate with each other so they don't overlap their soundtracks?
They do coordinate with each other. I think more than one occasion they've like taken songs from each other and then sent a text like, God damn it, I heard that you took the song. I was gonna put it in my fucking movie.
Find another one.
Like, so I just pulled up Afterlife, so I was drawing a blank on some of the names, but they have the Shirelles, Baby It's You, the Clapping Song by Shirley Ellis, both old songs, Otis Rush. So they have all these like old timey things, Funkadelic, like that's
sure.
And then you like that. Now you're on the different side of the house. Then you have a song by the Buzzcocks, then the Ray Parker Jr. classic, and then McKenna Grace actually sings a song. Good for her. She did a song. Talk about making extra money on the movie.
That is odd. How do you have a song in the movie? You're also in the movie. That's strange.
That's why you hire somebody.
It's been
right?
done.
That's fair.
It's been done.
I know it's been
they
done.
They made that Britney Spears movie, and she sang.
Oh, God damn it! Moving
on. Mad Max got a movie with a singer in it, making music for the movie.
Yeah, it's fair point. I'll let it slide. You're right. I'll let it slide.
The Fifth Element.
Yeah, fair. All right, so I got a question.
Yeah.
So there's one shot in the movie. I rented it to watch this. Did anybody notice this one shot? It's at 1 hour, 23 minutes, and 46 seconds. It looks like it was taken from a master videotape. Is anybody? It's literally just a shot of Vigo's painting while it's at the end of the movie, and it looks like it's fuzzy and garbled. Did anybody notice this? Is this on the Blu-rays?
Interesting.
There's a shot that looks
probably what. So you're
fuzzy and grainy.
You're giving me a timestamp, but that means nothing to me. Like when, like at the end of the movie, like after I
think that Ghostbusters are on the way in the Statue of Liberty. It's like they cut back to the museum. It's 1 hour.
Oh, and he's coming out of the painting, that part.
Yeah, they're looking at the painting. It's like 1 hour 23 minutes.
I know scene for scene.
Yeah,
I know scene for scene more than I know date and timestamps.
Okay.
Let's see. I will go to that time, but let's see. I'm gonna pull up the old Ghostbusters.
It makes me think that maybe they lost the footage or something like that. I don't know. It just
Ooh, and then they had to like copy it from an old footage,
from like a master videotape or something. It was very odd to me.
What was the time that you had?
1 hour 23 minutes and 46 seconds.
Right,
unless it was just on my rental copy.
That can happen, but like
23?
I wouldn't be shocked to find out it's kind of reused old footage that they didn't have masters to, or maybe anything can happen on set. I'm trying to like jump to where I was renting it to see if we could find the same spot.
I'm here. I have Janos, like, it will be a baby. We will be a happy family. All that business. Is that where it's at?
I think that's around the time. Yeah.
I have it on mute, but I know exact dialogue.
Yeah, it's like right at the beginning of that scene. It's just like a wide shot of the painting, and yeah.
And the baby's in front of him. That scene?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
All right, let's see. We're panning around. Yeah.
I noticed there's a lot of really erratic extras in this movie.
Oh yeah,
like and
well, they knew what the movie was.
I guess New York is a awesome location, but also all the wildest people live there.
So, are you talking about?
Oh no, it's not that. It's more of a wide shot. It's like from the ground. Maybe it was just in my copy. I'll try to find it.
It could have been. Yeah, I'm trying to find.
No, maybe it was just like buffering or something like that. I don't know.
Well, it could be.
Let's slide over into pitch territory. So, if we were to keep the plot as it exists right now, how would you guys really simply break this plot down into like Act 1 is find out where the Ghostbusters have been. Act 2 is kind of figure out what the problem is and get the Ghostbusters together. Act 3 is resolve our differences and defeat the villain. That's like our loose structuring. How deep into the plotting do we need to go before we are ripping stuff out for a reboot?
Are we just summarizing the plot?
Yeah. I guess the plot moves that you want to keep. Like where does the movie first start to lose you? How much of what's originally been shot can we keep?
Well, let's see. In the beginning, they're too hot to handle, too cold to hold. They call the Ghostbusters because they're in control. They had to throw a party for a bunch of children.
God damn it!
It's that.
I wish I had alcohol right
now. But yeah. If you're looking at it like beat for beat.
Yeah, is there any part of the plotting that we need to lose here, or is our fix a lot more flavor based?
I think mainly the big thing is that the convenience of the painting being at the same museum that Sigourney Weaver is at. I would say maybe the Ghostbusters go on a world tour. Where did the painting come from?
Right.
Why is it not still there? Why not? Why does this have to be set in New York City?
Yeah, so they're in an art museum.
They don't answer that with Janos either, because like, is he a Carpathian? Like, obviously, Peter McNichol isn't foreign whatsoever, but like, is he Carpathian and he just knows of this painting from his homeland, and he must have Vigo? You are the buzzing of flies to him. That would probably help a little bit.
Yeah, Johnny, where are you from? The Upper West Side.
Yeah, right.
God.
Yeah, that's all you get. Like that might have been like it's just a little line of dialogue, just a little.
Yeah.
But it could have been his inspiration to like you said. Why is this one random haunted painting showing up in the New York Museum that just so happens to be where Dana Barrett restores paintings?
Yeah,
who happens to have a connection to the Ghostbusters.
She doesn't have to work there at all, especially if, like, let's say...
I thought she was a good cellist.
Yeah, exactly. She's very...
Yeah, she changed careers.
She's very artistically inclined. She's, Wonder Woman. I think it's a double joke because Wonder Woman also opens with her working in a museum on old paintings.
I get
Boom.
it.
So I'm cool with him calling the Ghostbusters initially, them showing up, and then him being like, "Oh, I don't actually want to work with you guys at all. You guys are insane people, and I think I can actually do something with this evil spirit." And then it like maybe the reason that he's even interested in, because I guess that's the only reason Sigourney Weaver's here is because he wants to fuck her, right? Like his whole thing is like he wants to get married to her.
Yeah, he's basically like,
Yes.
he's basically like a more extreme version of Louis Tully from the first one.
Yeah.
You're talking about Janos?
Yeah, Janos. She really wants to hook up. He wants to hook up with Sigourney
Janos
Weaver.
is just a horny Renfield. He's literally horny Renfield for the painting Dracula Vigo.
Yeah.
That's all he's literally. And didn't he, going down a rabbit hole, wasn't Peter McNichol also playing Renfield in Dracula Dead and Loving It?
Oh my god.
So he literally played Renfield character
That's
twice.
Funny.
Oh god. You reminded me of a movie I saw maybe like 25 years ago.
Yes.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I'm like, Master, I am here. Don't call me Master. Sorry, Master. Master. I said Mister. Yeah, like he plays a very like it's very Renfieldy. I don't feel like he's very not criminal mastermind. Everything that he's doing is because of what Vigo is telling him he has to do and granting him the power to do so. But with the promises of, you can have the woman, she will be my mother. Okay, we get to make you a brother? Fine, whatever. You know, like, that's kind of how it feels like their exchange would have gone. That would have been a great line of dialogue, too. Be like, perhaps we make you a brother? So be it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it feels like that.
Okay.
He's very Renfieldy. I don't think he's anything
if
more
we
than
if
that.
we wrench Dana out of the plot at this point, I'm having a hard time reintroducing her into the movie. If I'm being honest, I'm having a.
I always
serves
felt
no purpose. Really.
Yeah, I always felt the first movie, like Venkman's only plan was to fuck her.
Yeah.
And like not have a relationship with her at all.
Yeah.
Because there was that moment in the beginning, in the middle of the movie where when she's possessed, he doses her up with Thorazine. Why would you have that if you went on a date with her?
You don't just keep your Thorazine on?
No, I don't. I'm not gonna rape anybody. It's
You don't just keep your vials of Thorazine on your person?
Yeah, so it brings up a lot of questionable stuff about that first one. It's like, why do you have that with you?
Yeah.
that is one of the really good, like, so even in the circles of like Ghostbuster fans, that is one of the inside jokes. Like, who doesn't, did you bring your Thorazine? It's like, it's such an absurd scene.
Yeah.
But that whole culmination of their interest, they seem like they're in a good place at the end of Ghostbusters 1. So it almost feels like a disservice that in the span of just a short few years, they've already drifted apart. She had a kid with another dude.
Yeah.
There was a hot and heavy relationship beyond her and Peter.
Yeah.
So it just feels like that whole thing just feels false and unnecessary. You pull her out of there, what do you lose? You lose the bathtub scene, which you could just do that with a random happenstance of a one-off extra.
You could do that with one of the main characters.
Right? You could do that with anybody.
Yeah.
And then beyond that, it's the whole dinner with Venkman thing.
Yeah.
That's really it. None of it moves the plot. They just it allows them to use a different location.
Yeah.
Because they can just slap slime around a 5-star restaurant.
Yeah, I hate wrenching out. I hate
satisfying.
wrenching out the one woman in the plot, but she really doesn't need to be in the movie for the movie to function. That's what sucks.
For the sake of what they've written, yes. If she was more of a pivotal character, she made more sense in the 2016 movie when they just kind of like loosely like touched on that she exists.
Oh yeah,
and she just got to have her little cameo. And then in Afterlife, when they were
the after credits
having
scene,
her
the after credits scene,
her talk at the after credits, she had more power in the after credits scene
than she does in this movie.
Entirety of 2.
God,
and I really wish that her character had more gravity. She just she went from, she wasn't necessarily a damsel in distress in the first one. I think it's just like, she was talking to mom, changing out of her outfit.
She's a self-made woman.
Got grabbed in the boob by a ghost dog thing and drug into the kitchen. Just unfortunate, wrong time, wrong place.
Yep.
In the second one, she goes full damsel in distress.
Yeah.
And maybe that's kind of a joke, like an inside joke, an industry joke. She's just this badass Ripley that just said, "Get away from her, you bitch." And now she's like crying and getting grabbed by a hose.
Yeah, what a downgrade.
Yeah, it's kind of, maybe she could have had some more badassisms. Maybe there could have been more.
Why doesn't she join the Ghostbusters? There, I've solved your problem.
See, that was the idea that I just raised my hand for. I think I know how to get her in the plot in a really good way. So here's our new opening. We have our museum curator, what's his name?
Janusz.
He calls the Ghostbusters because they have, exactly like in the first one, library set up. He's just getting haunted. He doesn't know it's because of the Carpathian painting that he's working on. He calls in the Ghostbusters, who are now run out, right? Like this is a team that's not working super well, but they've hired Dana, and she's working on acoustic ghost trapping and ghost therapy. She wants to use music to make ghosts good, to help them move on instead of like trapping them in. So she's trying to like help the Ghostbusters evolve.
Hey, here's how you get Slimer to actually make sense hanging around the fucking firehouse.
Exactly. Janusz.
Why does Slimer get a credit in the movie, for fuck's sake?
Because he's the director. Because
they should. You know what? Here's a little tiny fact.
Slimer is the real main character.
Here's the thing. It's not Slimer at the end of the movie. Just say John Belushi.
Oh my God.
But as somebody that is friends with both the Slimer actors that were puppeting and doing the thing, there is, I think it got such a pop in the first movie, that they liked him enough to put him into the cartoon.
Oh yeah,
and now he's just bopping around the firehouse. The theory was, and they brought it up maybe 5 times in the span of 7 seasons of the cartoon, that they were trying to research and investigate. They were like analyzing Slimer, but that only gets analyzed like 3 times. They actually do any kind of sciencey stuff to him. He's just kind of hanging around, eating their food and just chilling and just driving Peter crazy. That's his goal. Then you get to Ghostbusters 2, where suddenly he can drive a bus.
Yeah. How does he press the pedals?
Sure. I didn't know you got your license.
Sure. Are you certified? Yeah. Okay. I mean, it's good. It's good comedic. With comedy, sometimes you have to really suspend disbelief. But Ghostbusters 2 asks you to do it the whole time.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, anyway, here's the opening credits. Ray Parker Jr. is going to start singing. We need you to take your beliefs and just shelve them and just go for this ride.
Yeah.
And it's the equivalent of the Fast and the Furious, like, can you drive a car into outer space? Disbelief.
Can you jump from one bridge to the other and land on a car and not break any bones? Can you do that? Yeah.
Can you punch a car with another car?
Can you kick a torpedo?
Is family involved? If the answer is yes, then you can.
I just had a thought. I had a thought about how you can redo the petty cash joke. So they blow all the rest of their petty cash, and they bring back all the remaining food to the firehouse. Slimer takes it all and takes it to another room and eats it all really quickly. That is the last of the petty cash.
Fantastic.
Perfect. I kept that joke.
The last of it.
Nice.
There.
Yeah.
Like it just, I don't know. I just think it's a whole suspension of disbelief with GB2.
Yeah. So if we have Dana doing this like music therapy, I'm thinking Janusz is like, oh, I don't want to trap Vigo the Carpathian, right? I want to see if we can like use her method, and so that's what causes the rift. That's what causes our little like start of the plot here is she is being hired in as a Ghostbusters consultant for the Vigo the Carpathian stuff, giving her stuff to do in the plot related to the villain, while the rest of it can be playing out and Venkman's trying to get back with her now that his life's kind of fallen apart, now that the Ghostbusters have gotten into their groove of working instead of being like celebrities. He wants the celebrity. He's trying to like, he's the one pitching the two and the marketing rebrand. He's like, yeah, we got to like really come back with this. And it have it all be coming out of his like desperate insecurity, right? Like, let's use the character stuff they're doing here. He's like so scared to be irrelevant, which would be a great message for the future Ghostbusters movies to be able to run with too. Is it's like, oh, it's all generational. It's like these are ghosts, because like the metaphor of the ghost gets really, really good the more you can dive into it like that. So that gets.
I have an idea.
Go for it.
So you're saying that with music therapy, Sigourney Weaver is using like more pleasant, happy, uplifting music to ease the ghosts on. What if Janusz only starts to listen to like death metal and like really like vile music? That's what drives him and Vigo.
Carpathian death.
Yes, Carpathian death metal. That's what drives them.
That Nordic black metal stuff is harsh. That would be so cool.
It's nothing but guttural screams and slashing guitars.
Yeah.
There you go. Perfect.
Love it.
What was that? What was that movie that there was The Gate? You ever seen The Gate? You ever seen that?
Is that?
It's been a while.
Is that Johnny Depp?
No. It was Stephen Dorff, who used to be he was a child actor, and it was one of his earlier movies. And it was basically there's a literal hole to hell in the backyard of this kid's house. And they start playing this death metal album backwards, and it turns out it actually has lyrics on it that open the gateway to hell in his backyard.
That's so cool.
It's a pretty good movie. It's not great. It's pretty good though. It's pretty good. Yeah.
That sounds awesome.
I think you're thinking of The Ninth Gate.
No,
which is after they messed up this backyard 9 times.
Yeah, Seth's thinking of The Ninth Gate. I'm thinking of just The Gate.
I can't believe you got 9 of these movies.
where's
you think they'd stop opening hell in the backyards? Stop having hell in your backyards, kids.
It's just that easy.
It was clearly a watershed, I think, from Poltergeist. Like, you left the bodies, but you moved the headstones.
Right.
Yeah, it's clearly a spin on that.
Well, that plops us kind of into the middle plot of our movie, which, Harry, you mentioned, like, we want to see Spangler building stuff. I love that, especially if we have, like, new showing off the prism trap. You know, maybe those prisms can be interacting with some of her, like, acoustic equipment, and that's, like, give us a new crossing of the streams for this movie. That's like, oh yeah, don't like make the crystals interact with the acoustics. You get this like crazy ghost feedback. It like you could have Slimer turn evil in the middle. Like I'm throwing out producer pitches,
which they did in the cartoons.
Yeah. What if the older proton packs got impounded because they didn't get a license to use nuclear generators?
That's funny.
So he has to build new proton packs using less material.
They have OSHA regulations for the Ghostbusters now.
OSHA comes in to tell them to stop doing this.
So what one of the things that, and I jokingly say that I am one of the very few advocates for scenes of the 2016 movie, but one of the things
die alone on this hill.
But one of the things that they did very right was showing Holtzman fiddling with and building the actual proton pack.
She's also one of the best characters in the movie.
Yeah. She's the golden goose that they should have just focused on. But they show her actually building, not in a montage really, but in like clips throughout the progression of time. You see her actually fiddling with the ghost brass knuckles and building the packs themselves, and that's something that you don't get with Ghostbusters 1, 2, Afterlife, Frozen Empire, hell, the cartoons. You don't get that. That was the only movie that actually touched on that. Can we go back to Ghostbusters 2 in where there should be a montage of just let's breeze past a month and a half of craziness, and somewhere in there just show Egon like tweaking the packs. He's upgrading something because they changed the design of the packs as a very involved in the prop making of the proton packs.
Yeah.
There is a Ghostbusters 1 hero design, there's a GB2 hero design, then there's the Spangler design. Each of the Ghostbusters has their own design. So why do they have their own design? Why does Egon get a different foregrip? You know, why are these things different? Show me this stuff. I want to see him like throwing electrical tape around something. Like, yeah. I want to see some of that. So I think the middle of the movie, the montagey bit where we're just trying to get to the big Vigo battle, could really benefit from a little bit more of proton pack tweaking and then the slime building if we're still doing that.
And we can also stack a lot of this stuff to get into that like courtroom scene, because I'm imagining like if you combine them illegally, you know, drilling in the city with like OSHA violations on their equipment, you know, kind of build these bits together, so it's like make it really like unavoidable to the audience to go, oh wow, these guys are gonna like have to answer to a judge for this. Like this is really getting out of hand, because that leads us into that bit. It doesn't sound like we need to change much, if anything, about that, and that pushes us through into the second half of the movie. I think my only complaint is that it is really unrealistic for 4 people to be committed with the same mental illness. That's a stretch, guys. That's a big, and it only does that to get the Ghostbusters out of the story long enough for New York to bubble over.
Yeah, because the first one they got arrested because the system blew up, or was sabotaged, I should say. And then this one, like, also by the way, why is Walter?
Because Dickless here.
Yeah, why is Dickless not in this movie? Why is he gone?
Yeah,
why did he not come back? Like
because he was thoroughly discredited. Which makes it weird that
he's the
spoiler if you haven't seen the new
mayor
ones,
of New York.
He's in the new one. He's the mayor.
How?
You caused a debacle in 84, and I mean, not to say that, you know,
he's also in the video game, which we haven't talked about. The video game was technically Ghostbusters 3. It was the general premise of what was Ghostbusters Go to Hell.
Yeah,
which they never made third movie. It was basically that plot where they're fighting Gozer again. And then you get to Afterlife and they're fighting Gozer again. It's like, you make something else, guys.
But wait, they're going to fight Gozer again.
Yeah, that's why I'll give the second one a little credit. It's like, at least you got a new villain in there. At least you got that.
So that's 100% why I think Frozen Empire and GB2, and while they still tried to like bring back using the nostalgia of 2016, they still fought a possessed inflatable of Stay Puft. And it kind of felt like that one trick pony being utilized again, but in a slightly different way.
And they stop it by shooting it in the dick. Like
they shot it in the dick, and then it turned into another ghost that kind of looked like the logo as opposed to Stay Puft. Played by that.
What does that say about the people that made that movie? That the thing that they're actually fighting against is the actual Ghostbusters brand itself.
Yeah.
I love that people love to lean on that as like
it's
the people, when that was coming out, there was like pushing it as like a feminist piece, and I'm like, guys, this is made by Sony Pictures to sell Twinkies. Stop it. It's like stop. Just drop the pretense that this means anything.
But those 3 movies, with 2016 being kind of like an honorable mention because they do at least create something.
At least it's something new.
They create a new villain that has some, and even Ghost version aside, Rowan as a nerdy human that's tired of being pushed around is kind of a respectable bad guy, all things considered. This dude devised something that brings in ghosts.
Realistically, again, he would just shoot people in a mall, but okay.
Yes, suspend disbelief and just assume he'd apply his science to this instead of buying a rifle.
Yeah.
You have the ghost from 2016. You have Vigo, and then you have Garrock, which is this ice monster, which is an amalgamation of a few ideas from the cartoons. Which all feel like unique individual presences, but none of them feel like they have the gravity of what Gozer was.
Yeah.
Which is why I think that they keep circling back, which I was really disappointed with the new one, because this ice demon that literally freezes people with fear, they just shatter. That's dude, freaking
Yeah.
awesome.
So it straight up like kills them. They just shatter into like they just die.
Bro, they just explode into like little tiny like pieces of ice if they get like shattered or
there's
damaged.
stakes.
Like the impact of that, I was like, that's what I want. I want that to be like the Gozer idea. Gozer was coming in. Stay Puft didn't care who or what he was stepping on.
Yeah.
Gozer was an interdimensional beast that has, you know, been around for centuries and has plagued mankind since Babylonian era, whatever, you know, all of that business. That's got some gravity to it. Then you have Vigo. He literally just causes trouble inside of a museum.
Yeah, it is much smaller scale.
That's why I argue that the courtroom scene feels like the more fitting finale, because a smaller movie would benefit from, like we always say, like bring the stakes down a little bit in your second movie. We care about these people now. We can actually like not have to destroy all of New York.
But then you get into the well, you have a dude in a painting that's taking apart a museum. You have Rowan in 2016, who was literally driving all around New York, Boston.
Well, the new one is the new one. They didn't even film in New York, right? They filmed it in London, right? As far as I'm
they filmed parts of in New York, so they did get a lot of like important stuff.
Yeah.
They at least did some work in New York. Yeah. Not a lot, but they did get the firehouse and a couple other things.
Here's proof that filming in America is too expensive. You can't even shoot a fucking Ghostbusters movie in the town it's set in.
You know, so
inflation's a hell of a thing.
But like even the big bad guy Rowan from 2016, dude is going to big public locations, subways and concerts, and you know all the things where you said like, why didn't he just buy a rifle and do what everybody would have done?
He basically does. Just with ghosts.
But he's doing the Ghostbuster equivalent.
Damn, do I need to revisit 2016 with him being a
no?
So so I say yes. No, at least you're not going to go into the movie going, wow, I have high hopes for this. I hope this goes well. At least you already know what you're walking into, so you can watch it through a different lens.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think watch the director's cut where they put all the stuff back in. Some of the scenes actually do help tie some of it together. But you still have to get through the 47 queef scenes.
Ugh.
I mean, I feel like every slime scene in Ghostbusters 1 and 2 is a jizz joke, so like I could take some queef.
Well, it's literally a jizz joke in the 2016 movie.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, because she's like, ew, it's in my hair. I got it in my mouth. And you're like,
yeah.
And then they're like, I swallowed some of it. And it's like, well. And then there's a queef sound, and then they all giggle, and then we cut to the next scene. So, I think it's pretty much.
So this is their feminist piece to explain women's rights.
Well, wait a second. That sounds pretty equal to men's stuff. I'm okay with. It doesn't have to be.
This is the thing they're championing.
It doesn't have to be highbrow to be funny.
So
I'm not saying.
The thing is,
my point is that the discourse that was around that movie was, if you hate this movie, you hate women.
I want to run back over that discourse. I'm glad you brought it up. We're at the end of the podcast, so this is where people care about this kind of stuff anyways. I want to bring up that discourse because I think that was the first version of the super loud minority controlling the narrative in a way that it just didn't seem like it reflected reality. I think that the 2016 did the all-female lineup as they were being directed to by producers at the time. We go search for the work that's out there right now explaining how all producers were given these notes to like make everyone female, make everyone, and they were just doing it performatively. So
the Sony leak that came out around that time, but revealing that there was a lot of behind the scenes drama on that. Apparently, also the cameos by the original cast that was mandated by contract, and if the actors didn't do that, they would have lawsuits filed against them.
Right, so like it's
like being held at gunpoint to appear in a cameo in the remake of your own movie. It's like it's pretty sleazy.
And it's funny because this movie opens with the Ghostbusters getting sued, and it's like the metaphor of fighting your own brand just gets better and better. But my point for the discourse was I think that production.
Let's have 3 guys discuss discourse about what feminists thought about the time. Not that we lean to the left. We believe we are feminists. We agree. It's just this discourse was awful.
What it was is
the writing was weak.
Writing of it was weak.
I saw the discourse as being like they did it to be reactionary, and then they got the reaction that they wanted, and then it never turned into anything positive. And that's the last part of like bringing the haters in is to like spin it positive and be like, hey guys, we actually made this movie because we love Ghostbusters, and a lot of women love Ghostbusters, and that's why we wanted to, and that could have been the result, but instead the result became if you hated this movie, you hated women. And it's like, wait a second, I had issues with the movie, and the women was not the issue that I had. Can I speak? But it wasn't my voice that was being heard at the time. It was the like, these fucking woke. They weren't saying woke then either, but that whatever the equivalent word took over, and it was like speaking for the rational minded of us that were like, no, I don't have any issue with the cast. I have an issue with like, this is like not great writing, and this feels like really like teenage centered, and the old ones
the movie's ugly, and
like there was legitimate things, and it became poisoned to talk about. Because Harry, I agree with you. I think there's a lot of really good stuff in that movie. Paul Feig's an excellent comedy director. Like, the chops on the man are there.
You said exactly what I always say. So, Bridesmaids, I love.
Dude, unrated.
I will pee myself.
Good.
Coming at me like lava. That whole pooping. I
was just thinking that,
dude. Oh my God, is that like that is the best scene, and it will bring me to tears. When she goes out and just like takes a shit in the street, like it's happening, and I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, I remember the first time I saw that, I couldn't even breathe. I was like suffocating because I was laughing so hard. So he has an eye for comedy.
Yeah.
He knows what to do. The problem is, so Ghostbusters 1, 2, and cartoon, Extreme Ghostbusters, the video game had all come out by this point.
Yeah.
We have this library of what Ghostbusters should be. The benchmark was set. He saw the benchmark, hung a hard turn, and every joke was very lowbrow.
Yeah.
And would work in Bridesmaids, not in the Ghostbusters universe.
Yeah.
And I think that was the biggest turnoff for like me and a lot of the people that saw it for the initial premiere. We saw this like, you're just like, okay, well, I'm trying to like it, but the characters you had a combination of, they tried to recreate the original four. I mean, if it wasn't obvious, that was already strike
you don't
one.
New formula. Like you gotta bake again. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you tell that Kate McKinnon is supposed to be Egon? Can you tell? Is the hair giving it away?
So you have a couple of things that really work. Kate McKinnon can play eccentric and over the top. Just look at her in anything. But like Barbie.
Right.
Oh my God. The Barbie always in the splits. She plays unhinged, but she was believable as like an unhinged mad scientist type that they keep around because she can invent this stuff. She's just crazy. And she's dancing to like El DeBarge with like torches in her hand and like every unsafe practice. I love everything about her character. The problem is they tried to write all four of them as the lead comedian.
Oh yeah.
And they all had punchlines and zingers and over the top jokes, and they kept trying to outdo each other in every scene, and it shows. Go back to 1 and 2 and watch their positioning. Egon plays dry humor. Harold Ramis does a very good job of doing some really, really good, like, calm jokes. Like, it's like, so what do you do for a hobby? I collect spores, molds, and fungus. Like, that's hilarious. And it's so in character. Or, you go to Ghostbusters 2, since that's our topic, and take the puppy away. Like, it's just so dry and funny. It's that kind of humor. And then you have, like, Then you have Venkman, who is just Bill Murray ad-libbing 99.9% of the movie. So he's supposed to be the funny man.
Yeah.
He's the one that's going to do all of the out-of-pocket jokes.
The extreme sarcastic guy.
Yes, the over-the-top. And then you have Dan Aykroyd, who's going to do that like good, wholesome, like just good quality, like clean jokes that just land every time. What you had in 2016 was everybody tried to be Venkman.
Yeah.
And that's where everybody was stepping on each other, and it just got sloppy, and you couldn't follow it because they all were that disorganized.
Well, it's also edited like Bridesmaids, where it's like just joke. There's no let the scenes breathe.
Yeah.
You need to have like with a moment when I can't remember the guy's name. He was on Better Call Saul. He's like he walks into a scene. He's like this guy's been dead for years or something like that. And then he just walks into frame and just like, oh yeah, this is him right here. It just immediately cuts to him walking into frame. It's like there's never a scene where
you didn't let it sit.
Yeah, you need to sit with the jokes like and wait for the punchline.
Yeah.
If you just do like joke punch, it gets tiring and exhausting. Like the pacing of the movie is so breakneck the entire time that you're just like being dragged through it like a chain.
Well, and it's jokes per minute.
Here, watch this movie.
It's jokes per minute, and that is not the way the first two are written.
No, it's the jokes are very evenly paced,
well, and it's not even how it's toned either. Like,
and it's also conversational as well,
right? Like there are scary.
It feels more realistic.
There's scary scenes. Like these are still meant to evoke horror, and I don't feel like that was evoked in the 2016. That's like,
which is,
and it's part of the flavor.
Which the CGI was part of my problem with that too.
Oh,
I was
so
like,
ugly.
what in the haunted mansion is this?
Yeah, like when it looks like Disney's Haunted Mansion, there's a problem.
So then when you get back to you jump back to the Reitman era. And you go back to Junior, even though his dad says they're full of crap, which is fantastic. Now he's directing the movies.
He's also has a little cameo in the second movie. He's one of the kids at the birthday party.
My dad says you're full of crap, and it's like his dad is the guy that made.
That's funny.
Well, also, Ivan Reitman and his wife also had little cameos in the film as well. They're like passersby on the street or something like that. I think
they were walking down when they were
when
they were doing
when Janine and Tully are talking outside the Ghostbusters firehouse. Ivan Reitman walks past them in the back.
Yeah, when he was about to join her for the babysitting thing.
Yeah, which is weird. Like, why are they being hired to do that? Like,
because
we had to keep them in the movie somehow.
Yeah. No, because you don't have to pay her any extra.
Yeah,
they're cheap and they don't have the money.
I do find it funny that Tully at the end of the movie thinks that he actually did something to stop the slime outside the museum. He didn't do shit.
Wouldn't you? Wouldn't you though? Like if you started blasting at it and then the slime dripped away, you did it. This was you. You don't know otherwise. You weren't on the inside. You didn't see the other cameras. It's such a good
bit. It's so funny.
But it's so good. But like you get into like the graphics of Afterlife, which kind of gets, I call it it's definitely an action figure and marketing ploy all over
again.
Oh
god, yeah.
Which I'm not opposed to, but
we don't have Slimer, we have Muncher, so
do you see all of these right up here?
Yes,
these are mini puffed marshmallows. Those were all the variants.
Wow. Oh my god.
Top vinyl mini marshmallow puffs. That whole line right here. Well, actually, the first four are probably the four kids from the new movie. And then all of this, and then a couple down here that are behind me are just nothing but the mini puffs. Even that look like they fit in the movie.
Yeah.
And this is only a span of like 3 to 5 years from shooting and creating and whatever. The movie making process. We're not looking at a long, like 35-year gap. We're looking at like 4 or 5 years in technology. Why do your ghosts look like butt in 2016? And they look fantastic in the latest two because they went back to practical.
Yeah, and what a thing to lose. Like, why, when you're looking back at like a series like that, why would you go, oh yeah, we're not going to redo the practicality. The thing that like people really dig is that Slimer's literally in the scene. Why would that be the thing you cut?
Well, it's also because it was such a tumultuous production process. Like they were going back and forth and trying to make the movie what it was. Like typically when you are just up against a deadline like that, you just kind of just say, fuck it, CGI the whole thing. We can just it's a clear example of we'll fix it in post. We will fix it. We'll fix it later.
Let Thor do a dance number. It'll all work out.
Which, by the way, he does the dance number, and then his whole body spins around, but his head stays forward. Wouldn't that like kill him?
He's fine. He's fine.
Whatever. They got away with it in Exorcist. I'll let it go.
He's a demigod. It's fine.
It's all good.
Yeah, but like that sandwich of great special effects from 1 and 2, like even the proton streams.
Yeah.
The all the different little things, not just the ghosts, but like the streams from the proton wands, the trap stuff, even the slime blowers are kind of like, oh, that's neat. I don't know how it works, but sure, why not? You have a visual effect that works. And then you get into 2016, and thank God that they used the similar technology to make the all the proton pack and equipment stuff looked okay.
Yeah.
It was the ghosts. They just looked like butt. And then we go back into Afterlife and Frozen Empire, and we're back at the right stride. All the gear looks good. The sound effects are on fire. The ghosts, like Muncher's on par with a CGI version mixed with practicality of what Slimer was 35 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
It's perfect. And now you can introduce another character you can sell because Muncher's right there.
There you
go. You got Muncher. He's adorable. Her friend Allie went bananas when he walked out. He went like, and climbed out. And she was like, oh my God, I need him. So that's it. That's what that creature was made for.
Yeah.
It was to sell to people like her. The people that are like, I got to have him. Slimer didn't connect. We'll make something better. We're going to make this adorable metal eating guy. That didn't connect. We'll make these little marshmallow dudes.
But didn't they bring back Slimer for the new one, though?
They brought Slimer back because he's been living in that firehouse.
Oh.
Like you said, why is he just living there? Dude's living in the attic. He's just been stealing all the food.
So it's consistent with this film, Ghostbusters 2, that he's still just living in the firehouse.
He's just living in the firehouse. They abandoned the firehouse, the original guys, and then...
Which doesn't make sense, because doesn't Ray Stantz say in the middle of Afterlife, like, we lost the firehouse. I think it's a Starbucks now. It's like, well, wait a minute. No, it's not. It's abandoned when we see it at the end credit sequence.
So Ray didn't know because he's been out of the fold for so long.
Okay.
Winston was maintaining it in the background. They do actually clean up the confusion because Winston's like, we never lost the firehouse. Who do you think was paying the mortgage? Because these chuckleheads weren't paying the mortgage.
That's funny.
He ended up creating an entire science team, and he now has Zeddemore Industries, and it's a leading science team. They do great things for the world, but they also do all the Ghostbusty stuff, and that's why they got new proton packs and new technology and new gadgets and gizmos. It's because he has a research team.
Interesting.
Okay.
So it gets, you have to watch the movie to really grasp what's happening, but and even that one's, you guys should have an episode on Frozen Empire too, because that movie just feels like it was just a whole lot of nothing, and then the third act is just like, here's all of it.
Oh my
Have
God.
fun.
Oh no.
Oh God. Oh no.
Lopsided.
Yeah. I would love to discuss that one with y'all, because while I love the movie, Kumail is probably the greatest thing since sliced bread. And he's such a sweet guy, and I love him in the movie. Paul Rudd can do no wrong.
Well, did you see Ant-Man 3?
Yeah, he can do no wrong. The movie was terrible, but Paul Rudd didn't do anything wrong.
That's fair.
He did everything right. Everybody else was wrong.
I blame it all on MODOK.
Yeah, but
and his tiny cheeks.
But yes, his tiny cheeks. But yeah, that movie really does try to do its best to bring in the first two movies to the afterlife second wind of this franchise.
Yeah.
They do a very good job of because you don't get the firehouse in Afterlife. You get the dirt farm out in the middle of Podunk somewhere, USA.
Yeah.
This one actually ties you back into the familiar locations. And they have in the background, there's a slime blower hiding.
Huh.
And little nods to these guys really did do these things. This did happen. There's pieces that when we start dissecting it, when it comes out on streaming and I can buy a DVD, Blu-ray, whatever. This is when we're really getting nasty with it and pause it frame for frame to see what we could find. Afterlife, the toaster that Egon was having a romantic relationship with. that toaster is down on his farm, right?
Oh my
Oh
god.
God! Oh Jesus
The
Christ!
toaster is in the farmhouse.
Oh
So
God!
he did have a serious
Well
relationship.
done.
That toaster may possibly be Phoebe's grandmother. We can't confirm.
Is Phoebe
Oh,
part toast?
She could be. We
Oh
don't know.
God!
But yeah, there's a lot that I think that Frozen Empire does do well enough with to tie you back into the universe and make it feel like, okay, remember the guys from like 30
Yeah.
years ago? Well, now we're back and everything kind of feels right. But we went back to what worked, the formula that worked, and that's where 2 kind of started to deviate, because Frozen Empire gets back into some of the raunchier
Oh,
jokes.
interesting.
It's still very family friendly, but they get to have fun with it. Obviously, in the first one with Paul Rudd, when they turn into the Terror Dogs, they get to have a little bit of fun with that.
Mm.
Obviously it's implied in the first one, are you the key master? I'm the gatekeeper. Get it? Key, gate.
I get it.
Shall I? Here's this hot dog. Here's this donut. Observe. Yeah, it's kind of implied in the first movie. You don't get any of those kinds of jokes really in Ghostbusters 2. And they tried to make it so clean and sterile that when it finally got into Afterlife and then eventually Frozen Empire, we get into some of those things. And we can go back into, because one of my favorite scenes in the new one is Paul Rudd's like, I like being a Ghostbuster. And she's like, I know. And he's like, and quite frankly, if Bustin' makes me feel good. And it's just, it's the funniest thing, and they know what they were doing. We know what they were doing, and it's the best. Stuff like that. Like it goes back into, that's a joke moment that they would have ran with like 47 follow-up jokes with in 2016.
Yeah.
Or a joke that they wouldn't have touched in Ghostbusters 2.
Yeah.
So let's land this ship. Jesse, you mentioned you don't really buy the Statue of Liberty moving. If you were going to pitch a new finale, what are we doing instead of a Statue of Liberty higher and higher dance number?
Are we still going to have it is set in New York, or are we going to try to move this to the new location?
I mean, I'd be happy with it being in a different location. Yeah, if we've already added Dana to the team, so it makes sense why she'd be with them in this new location. I'm not opposed.
Or
if we're in a great big castle, if we're in Vigo the Carpathian's castle, that's a lot of great setups. You know what I mean?
Do that.
Is there a kitten in the castle?
Possibly.
You're the writer now. Do we want there to be one?
Well, that would be a great joke for Venkman later. Be like, well, then I don't know what was up with him.
Or, I mean, if it's positive energy that's supposed to stop Vigo at the very end, if it's positive energy that brings the Statue of Liberty to life, how about that same energy is what brings down his downfall with music? Just playing happy music at a concert somewhere, that's what brings him down.
Ah, interesting. Okay.
I don't know. I'm just spitballing this one.
Well, then you have to figure out what is a universally accepted happy song. What is something that, like, because you could be like, well, there's a Beatles song that sounds happy.
Yeah.
Or is REM happy? Shiny happy people. I don't know. We're all happy. Anything by the B-52s is not a sad song. So, I mean, you could be singing about Idaho potatoes.
Mr. Blue Sky. There you go. Got it for you.
You got Mr. Blue Sky. Well, I mean, it is a fun song.
Yeah.
But is it universally loved as a popular, happy, positive song?
Yes. Name one person that hates that song.
I vote we go Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson's huge in the 80s, right?
Okay.
I'm thinking like, the Beat It kind of vibes would really work in this. I feel like this is what Fall Out Boy was attempting to do when they tried to do their music, was like do a Michael Jackson.
God, don't remind me. Don't.
So I mean, obviously it didn't come out in time, but the song from Free Willy, you can't not listen to that and be like, how can you not vibe to that song? And could the whole world vibe to that song? And could it defeat Vigo? Like, if it could go back like 3 years in time?
I'm down. I think that works. I like a Michael Jackson because I feel like he was like world renowned. You know what I mean? Like you could go anywhere in the world.
I got it. They have to write a song that has the right harmonic resonance to take him down. Their proton
So
pack.
then you're getting into the real Ghostbusters. Play them Ragtime Booze. Season 1, they actually have to defeat the enemy by finding the wavelength of music because they're dealing with some ghosts.
Did it?
They're dealing with ghosts of a dead jazz band that has manifested itself to actually roll back time as they play. So they're trying to go back to their era. And the Ghostbusters literally go into a science area and they create, guitars, drums, keyboard, whatever that are tuned in with protonic energy and whatever. They give you all the explanation in the episode, and they play against them, and time keeps shifting forward and backward as they're trying to compete. So it has been done.
Dana has been working with the information they collected from that we're tying the TV show in to our Ghostbusters 2.
Done.
This is true.
Perfect.
There you go. And that would have been about the same time because they were probably like a season or two deep by the time they got to the
This is some
second
Ghostbusters synergy right here. We figured it out.
Figured it out. It's done.
Done. There you go. It's a wrap. We fixed it.
Wow. Well, Ghostbusters 2 had potential to be amazing, I guess, from what we've discovered here. But I'm happy for the one we got. I had a really good time. Dan Aykroyd is like my final thought of like he really threw himself at this movie. You can tell he's acting like he's trying to outdo Bill Murray. He's seeing an opportunity to like establish himself seriously. And so I really enjoyed watching Aykroyd on this watch.
Yeah. I mean, I would say even like Harold Ramis, there's some good jokes from him. I specifically I was going over my notes real quick. We had a part of a slinky, but I straightened it. Like, I get it.
Well, that slinky bits ties right into like the first movie with the trying to drill a hole through his head, and it would have worked if he didn't stop me.
Yeah.
It's that, again, like I said, that dry humor. It works, and that's why Egon was. I don't even think Harold Ramis wanted to be in the movie at first, but they couldn't find somebody that could Egon it up enough, and he just had that vibe, and he had to play such a straight-laced character. You watch any other Harold Ramis performance that isn't Egon, and he's usually the cut-up, the goofball, the stoner. This role for him is just so out of pocket.
Yeah.
And it might be one of his top ones.
Yeah.
Followed by Stripes.
I was literally thinking Stripes, yeah. And then I think, wasn't it after Ghostbusters 2, he started becoming more of a director? Like, he'd done directing before that, but he started really, with like,
he was writing and directing before that, because he was also involved with
Stripes.
I want to say Animal House?
Yes.
One of those
guys? He was one of the original guys that worked with National Lampoon.
Whoa.
So
yeah, because I was saying I thought he did Animal House. At least he was dabbling in it somewhere adjacent. That's kind of where he got his feet wet. And then after Ghostbusters, it really took off. Yeah. And he did what's that? Stealing Harvard? Was that the movie that I'm thinking of?
Stealing Harvard is the whole Tom Green movie that nobody likes.
No. What's there was a college themed movie.
Revenge of the Nerds? No.
God no.
Meatballs.
Are we talking about
Animal House? Animal House.
Orange County was one. I'm thinking of maybe Orange County. He played like the dean. Was that
Harold Ramis?
Yes, I think it was. Yes, Orange County with Jack Black. Taking it way back there with like one of Jack Black's first few movies, outside of like Mars Attacks, whatever.
Oh yeah.
But like his little bit cameo moments, but like when he had a solid role.
Yeah.
Harold Ramis usually played like a character that smoked a lot of weed, things like that. Like that was his thing. Yeah. And then to be Egon was just like so out of pocket. But yeah, this I think 2 was I love the movie that we got. There's not much that we can change. Because if we change like a piece of it, then we have to like throw the whole thing out and try again.
Yeah.
Because as terrible as it's pieced together with a lot of looseness, it still kind of works.
It's a janky mess that still is functional as a movie.
Yeah.
Like me. Just like me.
Yeah, it's like you said the other night when we were talking about this. Like the first one is lightning in a bottle. The second one, it's a movie. It has a beginning,
the second one feels
a middle,
like the studio.
and an end. Yeah,
it feels like the studio or somebody some executive in a suit was like, that movie did very well. Do it again.
Yeah,
work, monkeys, work, and got them to like cobble something together.
Yeah,
that was not as refined and as polished as it could have been.
Yeah,
because I watched the behind the scenes. I have the making ofs and read the book. I got Harold Ramis's daughter's book up there and everything. Like, I'm obviously I'm a little invested in this franchise.
You don't say,
but but they worked so hard on the first movie. They literally rented a cabin, the three of them.
Wow.
Ramis, Aykroyd, and Reitman. The three of them just sat around and kept each other in check and continued to write, revise until they felt it was right. That did not happen for number 2.
Yeah.
Which it shows.
It shows.
And even one just showed up and were like, well, I see that there are lines in this script, but what if I did what I want?
Yeah.
And that's a testament to their acting capabilities too, to be able to go, I like this, but what if I did something better?
And your script is just your guiding light, you know what I mean? Like it makes sure you get all the ideas onto a page, but if you're executing those ideas, you can resort as you need and find, better layouts for stuff. I like that when movies have the ability for flexibility, and you can tell that 2 is not a super flexible movie. It's a little, it's a little
and even in your guys's recanted and rebirth script, you're going to lose one of the best scenes, which is Cheech Marin seeing the Titanic.
Right. Yeah.
Then if you take it to a museum in the middle of somewhere in Europe, then it really makes no sense.
Yeah.
No Statue of Liberty. That scene entirely.
Yeah, none of that.
You lose that.
And these are New York tourism movies. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, there's a lot of that.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I went to the firehouse when I first moved up to New York. I went up to the firehouse. I was like, I want to go see it.
You have to.
You have to. It's like required. Yeah.
Right. Well, I think that's going to do it for this episode. I think we kind of crushed on this one. We got a really cool idea for pitch. We at least got a new way to start the movie off that's a little less contrived. You know what I mean? It's a little more natural kind of a start to our film, and maybe
we gave the only woman in the movie something to do.
Right.
Yes. Other than be an arm piece for Venkman.
The Ghostbusters were too scared to hire her, but we were not. She's hired onto our Ghostbusters. Well,
because she'll take over.
Well, Harry, thank you so much for being here. I want to give you another opportunity here at the end of the podcast to shout out your writing website and your festival website as well.
Well, while we're still on this topic, let's shout out the Charm City Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
The coolest guys in town who have ectos and I don't know if you saw the 55-foot Stay Puft Marshmallow Man at the Guinness Brewery and other locations. These guys, we've gotten all kinds of oddities and oddballs and really cool props and gadgets from the movies. So those are the guys that really just keep me invested in this whole ordeal. But I can be found for my writing at hcarpenterwriter.com. And if you're interested in coming to a super fun book festival where last year we had the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man himself, Billy Bryan. So yes, I do abuse my power and bring in things I like. You can go to Fright Reads Book Festival at frightreads.com.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you bringing you even went like deep TV show season episode list. Like you backed up your knowledge here. It's so cool to see that happen.
Think it's a game? You think it's a game? Yeah. Does this look like a game to you? This isn't even like, hold on, I'll pan slightly. There's still more Ghostbusters.
Wait, there's more.
There's this whole wall over here. I mean,
wow.
This keeps going. And then I have like this stack of stuff that's behind me on the floor that near the pulse rifle that has yet to be hung up.
working on it. What a space.
Yeah, this isn't this isn't a game, man.
No shade.
Life.
No shade towards Ulrich, but I think that Harry was a better guest on this one.
Definitely the vocabulary and the vexillology we needed, right? You know all the background stuff. I appreciated that. Jesse, thank you for bringing Harry here. It was great to enjoy this movie with you.
Yeah.
Of course.
Well,
yeah.
I'm glad I got to be here.
Yeah.
Yeah, this has been cool.
Well, I think that's going to do it for this episode of the Film Rescue Show. I've been your Pitchmaster General, signing off and saying good night.
Good night.